We're going to come in and show you a little bit about Easy Cloner. We've got a actually large one set up because that's what we were using last. We've got it set up dry. We're going to talk a little bit about setting up your water. You're going to want to run this unit for a couple of days. You need to stabilize your pH just like you would anything else. We use a little bit of rooting concentrate in there to help develop the roots, and that's about it. People add a little bit of peroxide to the water, about a cap in this size unit per day, and that just kind of helps keep everything neutralized to where you don't get any kind of root rot or any imbalance in the water. It just helps a little bit. For this type of cloner, whenever your neoprene rubbers get old, we just buy new ones. They come in batches of them. It's pretty nice. Makes it nice and clean. Take those out of here. This unit is set up, they all have a drain plug on them somewhere, so you want to set it up where you can actually set up a hose to drain it. Water temperature, you want to keep your temperature above 65 degrees. So if your water drops below, just add an aquarium heater. There's plenty of places to add lines coming out of here, so you just double it up with one of these lines. We've got this set up, I'm going to take that out of here. We've got this cloner set up with a cooler that goes with it, and we do a simple hookup into this. We also have another one set up that has permanent plumbing in it, but when you're taking these up and down and the temperatures varying from season to season, it's really easy just to pump these hoses and just take up a couple of holes, especially in a unit this size where you usually don't use all the holes. We use a unit this size because you can take so many clones of one kind, leave an empty row, put another set in, you can just hang one tag on the end of the row, and we can keep track of how many clones of which strain we have. We can do multiple strains at once. So that's why we use such a big cloner. It's not that we necessarily want to use all those holes, we just want to use them and have separation whatever we're doing. Lifting up, looking inside the cloner, it's set up with an air pump, circulates air. That line is perforated down in the back. It goes all the way around, it supplies air into the water. The water level's just below this head. There's a temperature gauge in the back. To use this chiller, we've got it set up with a water pump in the back. That's what's going to feed it. We'll show you how to pump that in real quick. If we're going to use the chillers, because our water is getting over 80 degrees. Anytime the water goes over 75 to 80 degrees, these plants are going to have a hard time producing roots. Now if it goes below 65 degrees, it's got the same thing. It doesn't want to grow roots. So maintaining the pH in this machine and the water temperature is very critical. Other than that, it's pretty simple to run. So you check it once a day. You don't have to mist your plants. You don't do anything. Underneath water, this head sprays water. These are each sprayers. And it's spraying water and keeping aerated water on those root stems the whole time they're in this machine. They stick through. All you'll see is the bottom. So when you put one of these in, what it's going to look like, you're going to bring it in, split that rubber, bring it in. We have 1.5 inches or so below that. You're going to have Clone-X on that where you've dipped it. We're going to put it in the machine. Once it's in there and the water's running, there's nothing else you do. So when we do these clones, we have this machine full of water and the water running as we do it. You don't get that much water on there, and that's what you're going to see underneath. And then when you see roots develop later on, you'll see those come hanging down. They're nice and white. So let's take that out of there so we can work with this real quick. We're going to show you the chiller. Pumping that in the back. Now all we have to do is take our in and out caps off. These have seals built in. You just want to make sure the seal does not flip out and it stays right there for the hose. Okay. I like to put my return line going back in, which is my out, is a clear hose. And that's because the water's feeding in and it's not going to be dipped down in the water too much. So any one of these can be my return line. And I'm just going to take one of the backs that's nice and easy. And it doesn't have to go in that far. I just try and stick it in to where it's going to run and not fall out of there. And it's going to be down below the lip of this, which that is. Now going in, this is coming from my pump. Make sure our hose is sealed on there with the seal. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to bring this in one of these back tubes. Now if you just push that in, lift up your top, you can bring this in and you can hook up your pump. Now that's set up on the same power line that feeds this whole deal. Now that's in nice and clean. We'll have our plants in. These little neoprenes will seal up enough where that water's not going to go anywhere. And we want to lay that back out of our way. Now that won't bother our production at all. This is going to pump water over to the chiller. It's going to run through. We turn it on. We set the temperature of what we want it to. Whatever temperature that might be, I'm going to set it probably at 75 so it doesn't get too hot, doesn't get too cold. And then I'm going to turn it on. We'll have that pumping water, circulating it through as this is running water the whole time, and that stabilizes my temperature. So if you're getting too hot on one of these cloning machines, and what generates the, you want to add a chiller. What generates the heat is all these little pumps running. You have a nice water pump running there. That generates heat, believe it or not. And circulating water doesn't cool. That pump just keeps circulating. It keeps raising its temperature, temperature, and temperature. So if you're in a warm area, it will build your temperature too fast. You have to have a chiller. Now if you're in a cold area, you can't put that mat underneath there. So like we showed you before, you just get a hot water or a water heater like you would a fish aquarium. You mount it inside the tank below the water level. It's got an adjustable knob on there, and you can run that and just tell what the water temperature is by picking it up and checking back there. So once you've got your water stabilized, it's run for a couple of days. You know your pH is right, your water temperature is right. We do our cloning, and we do it similar to when we do everything else. We cut a new fresh 45. We're going to dip it in cloning solution, and we're going to stick it in there. The light, the water underneath, it does it all. It's a pretty easy system. If you want to see more stuff like this, go to thecanachannel.org.